Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 2022, the Government of Alberta released the Rural Broadband Strategy to connect 200,000 households across Alberta to high-speed internet. Despite the most recent announcement, the government is behind schedule and once again breaking their promise to bring high-speed internet to Albertans by 2027. It appears the government is behind their target and the midpoint of the program. Will the minister tell us specifically how much progress has been made?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors has risen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This is a really interesting file for me, Mr. Speaker, because the NDP talking about rural broadband is a little bit hypocritical because when they were in government, and I'm glad you're sitting down, Mr. Speaker, they invested $0 in broadband. $0. This government has $390 million committed to expand rural broadband, and that's something that I'm proud of, Mr. Speaker, coming from a rural area. But the NDP trying to gain any political points on this topic is just laughable.
Order. The Honourable Member for Calgary Foothills.
I guess the internet was just as used in 2015 as it is today in 2014. Given that the government's broadband strategy reports 80% of Indigenous communities don't have access to high-speed internet, given that several Indigenous communities have been mentioned in multiple announcements to date, will the minister tell us the percentage of Indigenous communities and households that have been connected with high-speed internet through the strategy? What percentage will be connected in the next 2 years? And will we achieve 100% access for Indigenous communities?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And my father was a math teacher, and 0% or any percent of zero is still zero. So it is interesting, Mr. Speaker, that the NDP tries to talk about that they are serious when it comes to rural broadband. They're not. But this government is working with the federal government to make sure that we can get more broadband to rural areas. And obviously, Mr. Speaker, it's a big priority with this government. The federal government standards that they currently have doesn't work, and that's why we're working with First Nations communities and rural communities to make sure that we can get rural broadband all across this province.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Foothills.
Given the strategy targets 100% connectivity by March 2027, given that combined Alberta and Canada dedicated $780 million over 4 years, with $250 million to be spent in the first 2 years, and given that there were now 2 years into that 4-year strategy, since this government has only managed to deploy 1/3 of the funding, can the minister guarantee 100% access by 2027?
The Honourable Minister.
Hey, Mr. Speaker, I'll try again on the math, but 1/3 of that funding is still more than zero in what the NDP did when they were in 4 years of government. So, Mr. Speaker, this government is obviously committed to rural broadband. We're working with...
Order. The Honourable Minister of Transportation has the call.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We're working with First Nations, we're working with rural counties and communities to make sure that we can get the rural broadband that they need to be able to thrive. And Mr. Speaker, it's something that we're going to continue to work with. But again, Mr. Speaker, the NDP trying to score any political points on this is just 100% laughable.
Order. The